New year, new luck, and accordingly, we naturally start the new year still with the tasks that are still missing. And today, that is the task. Catch 10 different fish species on the Sura with a light or ultralight setup. And for that, I ideally use the really old spare spinning rod. That should work with that as well. So jump into the game, head to the Sura, and nicely finish the tasks with a light rod. We have that here. We get it for free from the administration. So simply grab the spare spinning setup. We even get a fantastic reel with it, and a crappy old line comes with it as well. And with that, you can also complete this task. Yes, in the live stream chat today, it said, Alan, I completed the task with the old spinning rod. And of course, that is also a light rod, so rod strength light, and we can use a maximum of a 2000 size reel. Now, you could of course also use this really broken reel here, or you simply take something like the Spark 2000. It costs 9 silver, and with 9 silver, you at least have a reel with a bit more drag power. Or maybe you still have one or another small 2000 vintage reel from last year. That also fits perfectly with it. Yes, and of course we changed the line, because on the rod, we only have 2 kilograms of load capacity. And on the spare line, we already have 2.2 kilograms. We do not want that. And that means we either get the 2 kilogram line from the Christmas market, or alternatively the 1.5 kilogram mono line. The Snake Invisible is also a very high quality line. It is super thin, very nicely transparent, and with 1.5 kilograms, we are now really fine here. And with this setup, that is how I start completing the Sura task. And you know what? I think I will even start here with this old UDSSR spinner, of course with a better hook on it, and then we will see whether something really nice goes in right away on this setup and whether the task can be completed. So let's take another look. This is task stage 5. Task 1. Catch 10 different fish species on the Sura with a light or ultralight spinning or casting rod. So normal spinning rods or bait cast or casting rods, those are required for this. And for the rod strength, light or ultralight must be written there. Accordingly, with ultralight, you can only use a maximum of a 1000 size reel, and with light fishing, a maximum of a 2000 size reel. And since we are supposed to catch 10 different fish species without a weight requirement, we naturally get started. I first run down to the small pond down here. And once I arrive at the pond, I start right away with this light setup. First, set the drag nice and loose, and then we cast out here and retrieve slowly. Speed for now, just have a look a bit. Depending on the lure, you of course have to adjust that. So regarding speed, retrieve speed, I always pay attention to the action bar at the bottom, that it flickers nicely. That means the lure is nicely active, moving properly. That's always a very good sign for the correct speed. And whether this works or not, that is of course a bit difficult right now. For rigs, I will of course later also use higher quality or higher level rigs, because without a high level rig with the simple basic artificial lure rig, that can of course also be a bit difficult. But if you take something like, for example, Wacky Rig, then something should definitely work. Well, look at that. First fish right here, retrieved loosely and indeed on the artificial lure here on this old UDSSR spinner. Well, the first fish is in. The first perch for the task, very nice. Now, of course, we have to make sure that we also get other fish here, and that means we go as fine as possible again. We have a casting weight on the rod, and the rod really does that very well, of only 2 grams. That is really, really good. Accordingly, I now take the small spinner with 2.24 grams. That is the snowflake from the Christmas market. But here as well, already with better hooks on it. And these better hooks cause this lure to have a slightly higher weight. And with that, we can in turn cast this spinner even further. Now the big question is, of course, what will bite here now? So first of all, in this pond, which fish are in here? And what can bite on these lures? You can sometimes get lucky that something like a roach bites on a spinner. That is of course pretty rare here, But if you have no other options to fish, that would definitely be a possibility to try to catch something like a roach, or also something like dace. You usually catch dace where there is current, so in the main current of the Sura, and there you can definitely catch dace as well. Yes, cast twice now with this lure, and now, theoretically, it is time to test other colors. So, test every color with 1 or 2 casts, and if there is no reaction right away, then the color is just not right. Then immediately test another color, test another lure, until it works. Or ideally, you already have other rig types unlocked. I am of course lucky that I already have Wacky Rig unlocked. And with something like Wacky Rig, we can of course try to trigger completely different fish here, because this lure is basically a kind of worm. You see, there we already have the next one right away. Oh, and that one got away. So right now we are basically using the worm as a lure, as an artificial lure, and that also works again and again quite well. So slight movement, pull a bit now and then, maybe also a kind of jigging, and then it usually works quite well with Wacky Rig. And there goes the next one in. And that one is finally big enough so that I can now push this setup to the limit. What do we have here? A roach, a rudd? Oh, I did not even think of that anymore. Right, rudd exists here as well. So very good. Second fish, rudd completed, and right away the next bite cast very nicely, relatively quick bite. That is of course excellent. And then we continue here with the sleeper goby. Also very good. That, by the way, is also a fish that often goes for jig rigs, for example, simple jig rig, and also for other rigs, just like right now here on the Wacky Rig that I'm using. We always use the smallest hooks and the smallest lures because here it is only about the task, catch a fish, not catch a fish with a certain weight. So it's not about catching the biggest fish possible, but simply about catching a fish. And with that, the task is already fulfilled. So now we still need 7 more fish. Yes, skirted jig can of course also be tried. I'm testing that here now as well. Skirted jig works really well again and again, especially at Elk Lake. And here in this area, I will also try to see if something else goes in. Here I now have to reduce the speed a bit, and I retrieve very slowly with the skirted jig. And then we see when we get into the jig action. Bottom contact. Yes, you can always feel by this pull down here, this deflection, that we have quite muddy ground here. Zap, there again. That means the lure only releases with difficulty from the bottom. Accordingly, it would of course be practical to retrieve a bit faster. But before it gets dark, I quickly go to the main current and try drift fishing, right here in the area at the front. Let us take a look. Yes, here, around where the boat is, roughly in that area. Exactly. Last year I already caught dace there quite well, and we are now trying that again. So cast as far as possible and then retrieve loosely so that drift fishing is active. That means the reel speed is set so that we are exactly as fast as the current. Accordingly, I now have constant drift fishing here, and zap, we already have the next fish. So that is also definitely a possibility, to get other fish nicely with the Wacky Rig. And in this way you also have the chance to catch dace again and again. The next fish here, however, could also be bighead carp. So if something really big bites now, then the limit of my setup is definitely reached. Because as I said, I only have 1.5 kilogram line and not many meters on it. That means fishing here with such a very, very fine setup is of course absolutely risky. Well, look at that. Already during the sinking phase, cast out and immediately something bigger bites. I'm super curious whether I can even land this one. This can become very, very, very risky. It could also be something like a chub. Are there chub here at all? Chub could also be possible. It is not moving that much right now. Seakill exists here as well, I think. Oh yes, oh, there it almost jumped already. Or asp, that would of course also be very risky. I try to always pull the fish slightly downward. With the current, pull it toward me so that I even have a chance. This can become extremely difficult now. I am still completely in the fight. Absolutely, on 1.5 kilogram line, this fish is causing serious trouble. I am trying with all means to bring it closer bit by bit. This is still a very risky situation. In this case, I also try the whole time to push the rod as far upward as possible because that gives me more leverage on the fish. So keep the rod pressed upward the whole time with the right mouse button, because normally the fish already pulls the rod down automatically and I can hardly counter it. Even now, you can see the rod goes down automatically. I cannot change anything about it. The rod goes down automatically. Now, in the moment where the fish eases up a bit, it goes back up automatically. But in the phases where it runs hard, the rod simply went down, even with the right mouse button pressed. The only thing you can do then is to run a bit further back and then run forward again. By running forward, the rod goes a good bit upward again, and that allows you to apply more pressure to the fish, especially upward where fish have the least power. And now again, of course, move further in the direction of the current so that the fish can reach me faster with the current. And now the fish is slowly coming in. It could be a large asp. Well, large. Even 2 kilograms is already a big fish for such a setup in this strong current. I'm very curious how much weight this fish will have. So now it's already very tired and hardly moving anymore. That is practical. I go back again, back, and try to pull it closer. Is that a... No, that's a chub. It is a chub. That is good as well. So we have already caught the chub. Now try to pull it a bit closer. Yes. And then of course out with the net. And it is not enough yet. So, come on. 2 meters more. Now it should be enough. Whoa. Okay. 3.1 kilograms. That is crazy for such a setup. On the wacky worm. Again on the size 1 wacky worm. Very nice. Yes, and doing that on 1.5 kilogram line is really tough. What you can also do, of course, is overload the setup. We can simply go in here and use micro braid line. 0.04 millimeters, the thinnest line. We would then overload the rod with 2.8 kilograms. This is our spare setup. Once per hour, we can renew this rod for free. If the rod breaks with such an intentionally wrong setup, we could simply get the rod again. But ideally, you do not want that. Still, I tested a bit and then we see whether it is worth it. Here nicely with micro braid on wacky rig. With that, I now definitely have the chance to use more of the drag. And there goes the next one in. Very relaxed here in front. Goes lightly into the drag, but not too strong. What do we have here? Another chub. Very good. I walk a bit further, bring in some variation, and we also take a look what fish are even here that could bite on artificial lures. We already have chub. ID is an option. Eel, very rare. It also exists in the pond, by the way, but extremely rare. A mussel could bite with luck. Perch, of course. Crayfish maybe as well. With a lot of luck, maybe even grass frog on artificial lure in the pond. Dace as mentioned. Rough is an option, maybe even bleak. Burbot could work. Asp could work. Rudd we already have. Sleeper goby as well. Sickle definitely works. Stone loach definitely works. Sterlet is far too rare. Zarde with luck. Zander is also an option, but those are already quite large fish. So there is still a larger selection. I now boldly cast right into the middle with the wacky worm and retrieve loosely, and maybe something like stone loach bites. Oh, and there goes the next one in. I am back at the pond at night now, looking for something else that could bite. What do we have there? Oh wow, a large gibble carp, also really good. That is practical. So fish number 5, gibble carp. I gladly take that. Again, almost everything here caught with wacky rig. Oh, and another one bites. What is that? Very small. White bream. Okay, I did not expect that. I expected roughy, but white bream is also very nice. Again on the wacky worm, retrieved loosely at speed 5. Pulled lightly, let it sink, pulled again, let it sink, then retrieved steadily, and then the white bream bit. What I will definitely test next is stone loach. For that, we need the main current, and I will re-rig to a jig setup. So I re-rig right here. I take the small quicker in color 005 on a small size 7 hook, 2.5 grams light. A very, very fine setup. And now we head down. This area looks good here, around 3 meters depth. Cast in, move a bit further down, and try whether stone loach bites here. It's extremely risky here. Zander can also bite, but we take that risk. It can also be difficult to even get into jig action. In this case, I would definitely let the lure drift with the current a bit. Stand slightly downstream, cast upstream against the current because we are jigging here with a very, very light lure. And with this strong current, when pulling against it, the lure cannot sink properly, and we do not get into the jig. Not bad. Rough on jig. Very good. That means only 3 fish left. We can do that. Cast again, and here comes the next one. There was already a hit earlier, but it got away. What do we have now? Could be Zander. Feels heavy. I'll walk a bit further. It might actually be, it could be stone loach. A smaller hitter would be even better. It is stone loach. Very nice. $500 stone loach. Very good weight. Also, silver-wise, not bad if you like fishing stone loach or spin fishing in general. Fishing here on the Sura for stone loach with a very fine jig setup is always worth it. And right away, the next one near the water lilies. I suspect mostly perch now. And since I only need 2 more fish, what do we have? Pike. Oh wow, that was luck. Pike caught on the thinnest braided line, not bitten through. Very lucky. On micro jigs, smallest quicker. That worked as well. Now back to the main current. Right here in the area. Cast toward the boat, retrieve loosely, instant bite. Very good sign. Thrown right in front of its mouth. Perfect. I am curious what it is. Probably chub again. Chub on silver spinners is not uncommon. I hope I can get it free here. It seems stuck on the boat. It is indeed chub. Instant bite. 1 kilogram chub on 2.8 kilogram line, and it continues. Perch after perch or chub, and this time it is neither perch nor chub. It is ID. Very nice. And with that, the task is completed. Yes, and those are them. 10 different fish all checked off on light setup on the old UDSSR spinning rod. So it absolutely works. With a very simple setup. The most important thing is the right line, either 1.5 kilogram mono or micro braid. Both are very high quality lines. They allow us to catch many different fish. We cannot fully use the line anyway because the setup only allows 2 kilograms load, but it is doable. So, head to the Sura and quickly complete this task. If it helped you, leave a like, do not forget to subscribe, and then we will see each other in the next video or the next live stream. Until then, tight lines.